We all know by now that Nine Inch Nails is doing the Tron Ares soundtrack. And while I think Nine Inch Nails is going to do a decent job, I do think there are other bands that I would have picked over Nine Inch Nails. And at this point, Nine Inch Nails is the only thing I think that's going to be saving the movie from Jared Leto, but I think there are other bands that would actually not only save the movie, but also redeem it and make it a really great movie just through the music itself. Because let's be honest, Daft Punk left some big shoes to fill when it comes to making a Tron soundtrack, or maybe even any movie soundtrack that's going to be written by a band or by an artist. So if it's not going to be Nine Inch Nails, then who? Well, here are some bands or some artists that I think would have been a better choice than Nine Inch Nails to do the Tron Ares soundtrack. First up is one of my favorite bands when it comes to electronic, and that's going to be Glitch Mob. I think Glitch Mob is a really good choice because not only do they do the electronic and dubstep kind of elements to it, but they also often have vocals from other artists on their tracks. So they're able to incorporate vocals in the tracks pretty easily, and that also means they know how to structure a song so that we have a solid intro, a verse, chorus, second verse, chorus, maybe even a bridge, and an outro. They know how to structure a song and make it work well. Nine Inch Nails knows how to do that well too, but I think the heavier electronic elements is something that Glitch Mob is able to bring to a Tron soundtrack to really create some really cool action sequences and at the same time be able to intensify what we're seeing on the screen. So I think Glitch Mob would have done a pretty solid job. The next artist I think that could do a good job of making a Tron soundtrack is also going to have some dubstep elements, and that is Skrillex. Now, Skrillex I don't think is going to be the best at making a structured song. I think sometimes they go a little hard on the solos and the dubstep elements, but hey, that's kind of their thing, so why not? But I'm not sure how well those elements are going to translate into writing a soundtrack for a movie. Now, Skrillex does have some experience with making music for movies. He's done some sound effects for the Transformers franchise, but overall, those are just sounds. So I don't know if that experience is necessarily going to translate into being able to make an entire soundtrack to a movie. Because if I'm hiring someone to do a soundtrack, I want those songs to be catchy, good, have some really good hooks. Like, people want you to listen to those songs before the movie comes out and after it comes out to not only hype up that movie, but also make money from that music and try and get that movie in your minds more and get those action scenes in your mind more. So you're like, oh, I need to buy this. I need to watch it again. I need to tell people about it. And I'm not 100% sure that Skrillex is going to be able to make songs that do that. But I'm happy to be proven wrong. If Skrillex one day makes a killer soundtrack for a movie, then whoever wants to comment on this video and tell me I'm wrong, please go ahead and do. But until then, he's just my second choice. Another artist that I think that would be really good at making music for a Tron Ares soundtrack is Pretty Lights. Now, if you haven't heard of Pretty Lights, they've pretty much done the best job that I can think of combining hip-hop beats and electronic elements. Go listen to Color Map of the Sun. If you haven't heard that album, it's awesome. They've got some other claim to fame songs before that album came out, but that album, first album I listened to by Pretty Lights, and I was blown away. That album does a great job of just creating a whole bunch of imagery through music. And if we want another instrumental album for a soundtrack, which that's what Daft Punk did, I think Pretty Lights is a no-brainer choice to pick for that. But I think in this Tron Ares movie, they're going more towards a digital kind of darker aspect. And so I can see why they chose Nine Inch Nails. Whereas Pretty Lights, the hip-hop element, I don't think necessarily fits for it. But then again, there are some songs on Daft Punk's album that kind of have that hip-hop kind of edgy vibe to it. So who knows? But either way, I would love to see Pretty Lights do a soundtrack for a futuristic cyberpunk anime movie or TV series or Netflix series or something, because I'm confident they would hit it out of the park, make some killer songs, and really just enhance that work of art overall. Now, with picking Nine Inch Nails to do the soundtrack for Tron Ares, they obviously went with a band. So if I had to pick another band of musicians that is kind of like a rock group that can do some electronic elements, something as close to Nine Inch Nails as possible, I would honestly love to see a soundtrack from Muse. Muse has done a wide range of music in the past. They've done rock, they've done stuff that's metal, they've done stuff that has electronic elements. So I think they could definitely pull this out of the bag, but I think it would be a little bit of a challenge for them. But I think that's what makes it interesting to see Muse do something like this. They are known for doing like stadium rock kind of music that's like really hype and really epic sounding. So to see if they can kind of pull off some of the subtleties that are needed in a movie soundtrack would be interesting. Now, there is a movie on Netflix that has Ryan Reynolds in it that did use a lot of Muse music in it. I think it's called Underground 9, and they kind of made Muse the soundtrack for it, and it worked out well, I'd say. But I don't think that movie and that music was like made to pair together. So I think giving Muse the heads up, locking them in a room, saying you're not coming out until we have a album or a soundtrack for this movie is a good idea, and I think they'll rise to the occasion. They have stuff from Songs of Absolution, from The Second Law, from their last two albums that are really good, that I think they could really blend together and mold into creating a really cool, intense and unique soundtrack for Tron Ares. And they're coming out with new music right now, so it's safe to say they're not doing anything for Tron Ares, but it would be cool to see them do songs inspired by the movie. That would be a cool thing to do if they made a song, just a single saying, hey, the song was inspired by Tron Ares, and then release that to kind of help promote the movie and so on and so forth. But those are my top picks for who would be doing a Tron Ares soundtrack if it wasn't going to be Nine Inch Nails. What do you guys think? Do you think someone else could do a better job than Nine Inch Nails, or someone else that I haven't mentioned? And we can't say Daft Punk because they're no longer a group. They've retired. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below, and don't forget to like and subscribe. Peace.